Hey, what is going on, guys? It's Young here, and today back in our Fortnite video. In today's video, I'm going to be discussing whether legacy settings or linear settings are going to be the best use, and also how to decide which settings are going to be best for you. And before we get into the video, I'm going to be giving away 2,000 V-Bucks. So if you guys want a chance to enter this giveaway and win some free V-Bucks, all you guys need to do is to drop a like on this video. Make sure you guys do subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications, and as well leave a comment down below of either your Xbox gamer tag, your PSN gamer tag, or Epic account, and you guys will automatically be entered into my next giveaway. So if you guys want some free V-Bucks, make sure you guys do enter the giveaway. And alright guys, let's go right to the video. Alright, so here in this video, I'm going to be discussing which settings are going to be best for you, whether that's legacy or going to be linear. There is a few people that use exponential, but from the polls that I've seen on other channels and also for myself, most people either use legacy or linear, one of the two. So those are the two that I'm going to be discussing and really showing you guys why you would use each of those settings and which ones are best for yourself. And of course, when it comes to the settings in Fortnite, they're all completely subjective. Some people like a little bit higher sensitivity, some people like a little bit lower, but I'm going to give you guys reasons on why you would want to use legacy and also some reasons why you'd prefer to use linear. And also, when I'd seen the polls on what people use, I did one on my channel probably, I think about a week ago, and one thing I've seen is most people do tend to use linear. I think it was probably like 60% to like 30% on legacy. I don't think it was that much. I think it was more like above 50% use linear, and then probably like 30 something use legacy. So most people that I've seen are on linear settings. Now that doesn't necessarily mean it's a lot better than legacy because you use them for different reasons, which I'll discuss in this video. But from what I've seen, most of you guys and most people I've talked to, friends like that, most people use linear settings, and for a good reason too. They are very, very good for a select few things. But it seemed to me like most people were liking linear a lot better than legacy. But like I said, completely subjective on which settings that you prefer to use. So here's just the settings I have. I don't think I really changed anything since the last settings video I used. So 1.9 building and editing is a 2. I just prefer to have a little bit higher editing sensitivity. I just like it. I think it's a lot better that way. Personal opinion, I just like it that way. So 48%, and then I have no boost on anything. I prefer not to have any boost because if you're playing on linear, you really want to have it as consistent as possible because on linear you have very, very good flick shots. So you want to make sure you have the boost off and pretty much everything. And of course my ADS sensitivity is on 14. I might actually lower this down to maybe like 11 or 12. We'll see though, but when it comes to long range shots, it is a little bit more difficult. I do have a little bit of look dampening time. I do really like that setting. It slows it down just a little bit, so long range is just a little bit more effective. And then my dead zones is 11% and 8%. And for my legacy settings, what I was using is a 71% on both. My ADS sensitivity is a 35%. Scope, you can have it on whatever. I have it at 40. My building sensitivity was at 2.1, and my editing was at a 1.9. So pretty much flipped. When it comes to the building and editing of my linear settings, I just felt like it was a lot more comfortable and easy to edit with a little bit lower on legacy as compared to the linear settings. But of course, one of the big reasons why people would use legacy instead is the aim assist is undoubtedly much, much better on legacy as opposed to linear. Because when it comes to hitting shots, it is just so much easier to hit it on legacy. The only advantage that you have on linear compared to legacy is going to be when it comes to flick shots. Flick shots are more consistent and a little bit easier when it comes to linear because the movement is 100% consistent. When you play on legacy, you do have to realize that there is going to be boost, meaning that when you fully turn around, it's going to be quicker than if you make small movements. And the reason why it is like this is because when you're aiming down your sights or making small adjustments, it is a lot more accurate, a lot more precise when you are going for those quick shots, which is very, very effective when you have an auto rotation when you're aiming down your sights, meaning that when you aim close to a target, it rotates over to that target, and that's the biggest advantage of legacy. But you kind of want to wonder, why are so many people using linear as opposed to legacy? And one of the biggest reasons is the building and editing undoubtedly is a lot smoother and a lot better. And so when you're talking about any people who play either box fights, if you do a lot of creative, linear is going to be undoubtedly your best bet because it's going to be a lot of building, a lot of editing, a lot of flick shots. shotgun fights. So undoubtedly a lot of people are going to be using linear for that exact reason, and some people will use it in pubs. You see a lot of pro players, a lot of pro controller players, a lot of them. I think it's about 50-50 when it comes to legacy and linear. And you see a lot of people on linear because they do box fights, things like that. It is just a huge advantage. But you also have to consider is when you look at these, a lot of these controller pros who are, playing very good in tournaments, they almost all are using legacy. And the reason being is when it comes to legacy, you do have a increased advantage from range, meaning that when you play tournaments, when you play cash cups, you're going to be getting a lot more kills as opposed to someone with linear, just because when it comes to picking people off at the very end of the game, you're going to have it's going to be 10 times easier to do so because you're going to be able to have much better aim and a lot more precise aim when it comes to range. So when it comes to aiming at the end of the game, getting a lot of picks towards the end to get off points, you're going to be a lot more successful. It's going to be a lot better. So when determining your settings and what you should use, whether it's going to be high sensitivity, low sensitivity, legacy, linear, exponential, whatever you guys plan to use, the best way to figure out which one that you guys should be using is really to look at your playstyle and see what are your motives, what are the things that you want to have the best, because you can't really have it both ways. You either want to have the best aim possible, which is going to be on legacy, that's going to give you the best aim, or you're going to be looking to have a little bit better building, editing, and everything in between, and that's going to be a linear type setting. So you really have to see if you're a competitive player, I would almost completely recommend playing legacy settings just because the aim is just going to be a lot better. It's going to be a lot more effective to use. So that's what I would recommend doing if you are like a competitive player, or even if you are a pub stomper, I probably would recommend using legacy just because you're able to get a lot more chip damage on other players. But you also do have to consider with the current meta that it can be a little bit different. So for instance, in solos, it probably is better to play linear. If you play a lot of solos or maybe solo squads, solo duos, it probably is a lot better to go ahead and play on linear just because most of the gunfights are going to be close range. If you're just looking at the fights I'm having in these clips, pretty much everything is close range, which is going to be a big advantage for people who use linear because flick shots are going to be a lot easier. Close range fights are going to be a lot easier. But if you play a lot of duos and a lot of squads with friends, playing on legacy is going to be almost your best, almost 100% your best bet, because a lot of the times you're going to be getting shots on people who are fighting your teammates, meaning that it's going to be a little bit more at range, not across the map type of range, which it could be, but most of the time it's going to be a little bit more ranged if you're playing in duos and squads. And so if you are playing duos and squads more often you are playing solos or solo squads, it probably is better that you play on the legacy settings as opposed to the linear settings. So all in all, it comes down to your playstyle and how you play the game. If you're just a squad player, if you're a duo player, would probably highly recommend playing on legacy. But if you're a solo player, solo squad player, a creative player, box fight type of player, it probably is your best bet to play on linear settings. But if you are a duo player, a squad player, or competitive player, legacy is probably going to be your best bet. Now, it's not in all, this is how everyone should play, but I feel like a general rule of thumb is just that exactly. If you play those certain game modes, you should be on legacy. If you play certain other ones, you should be on linear. I feel like that's going to be your best bet and allow you to get the most amount of kills and also play the best at the game. So those are my opinions and what I would recommend as far as whether to play on legacy or linear. And hopefully this video helped you guys out when it came to choosing the best settings for you, because like I said, they are completely subjective. Same with sensitivity. Some people like higher sensitivity, some people like lower sensitivity, some people are more aggressive, some people are more passive. So it really 100% comes down to your playstyle and also what feels the best. So currently now I do play on linear settings just because I play a lot of solos. I play pretty aggressive, meaning that I'm in a lot of close range fights. So playing on linear will give me that advantage when it comes to close range. But if I did start to play a lot more duos, squads, or just really focus on competitive, then 100% I would be switching back to legacy. But with that being said, that's wrap it up for this video. If you guys enjoyed this video, if you guys found this video very helpful, make sure you guys do drop a like. Make sure you guys do subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Turn on my post notifications so you guys are notified for every single new video. And alright guys, I'll see you next video.